Hey guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And we're going to talk about your paycheck and what to do with your money when it comes in. So let's get to it. Okay, so you've got paid. It's awesome. Yes, love getting a paycheck. So you got your paycheck and the first thing you need to do is figure out your direct deposit. How do you set up direct deposit? You need to call HR and you need to get it so that your money, when you go in there, you're setting it so it's being directed to separate bank accounts. All right, this is very important. This has worked really well for us. And certain companies have a limit on how much you can, how many bank accounts you can direct deposit into. My husband's is only 3 and my employer has I don't know what the max is. I have 9, I think there. So you want to find out from your employer how many bank accounts you're allowed to direct deposit into. And then you want to figure out how to do that so you'll be able to. And then also, if you only have one bank account, then you have to try to open another bank account at least, maybe 2 more. I recommend at least 3 bank accounts because you're going to have your main bank account for your expenses, and then you're going to have an emergency fund bank account. Preferably, it's a high yield savings account. I use Ally Bank, but you want to make sure you're getting as much interest as you can. But if it's just a savings account linked to your checking account, fine. It's not a big deal. But you want to have an account that's designated for your emergency fund. And then you want to have another account. And I have multiple, but I think you need to have another account for car repair. If you have a car and you need your car to get to work, then you need to have a separate car replacement, car repair fund. And so you need to get some extra bank accounts set up, as I said. So obviously there's many more bank accounts you can go with, or you can take that other account that I just called your car fund, and you can take within that account. And if you're good with, spreadsheets and you're, diligent with yourself, then you can just split different things within that one bank account. Like you could have holiday money for every year for the holidays, and then you could have your car fund, and then within that same bank account, you could have a certain amount designated to perhaps, kids' activities or vacation, whatever. You could do as many categories as you wanted, but you just would have to know that the full amount in that account is being split amongst those categories. So I really prefer to have the separate bank accounts because, like I said, we have our car fund account and I have a debit card for that bank account. And on the card, I took a Sharpie and I wrote the word car. So the actual debit card says car on it. And I only use that debit card when I go to the garage and pay for the repairs. Or when I did go buy a car, I used that card and gave it to them to pay for the car. And so, the separate accounts, in my opinion, just help to keep you accountable, keep you honest on what you're doing with that money. But all right, so you get your payment, and then you've gone and you've opened some accounts, and you're going to designate it around, right, to these different allocations. So in my opinion, the number one thing on the list there is your emergency fund. If you don't have an emergency fund set up, it trumps everything else, in my opinion. You have to get that emergency fund set up because emergencies are going to happen. You're going to have an emergency, and if you don't have money set aside for it, you're going to end up going into debt or going further into debt to pay for it. So that's step 1, is getting your money allocated to that. So whatever that amount is, whether you're doing a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, paying for expenses, or a year emergency fund, you can split it however long you think it's going to take you to build that up. Might be a year, 2 years, but you can split it amongst your 26 paychecks if that's how many times you get paid in a year. And then, so you just want to allocate some money. If all you can do is $100 into that emergency fund every time you get paid, then do it. Get that $100 set up to go into that emergency fund, and that's priority. All right, second is your retirement savings. So that's also right under the emergency fund. So you want to get that set up so you have 10 to 15% of your income going towards your 401k or an IRA or whatever kind of investment you have to save for retirement. If you can do more than the 15 to 20, 10, if you can do 20%, fine. However much you can do. If you have no debt and you're just trying to max out your retirement, then to me, that's at the top of the list. That's what you want to get set up and make it automatic. So it's just, you don't have to think about it. It's going to happen. It's almost like you don't even have that money. It just goes straight in there. And so if you don't set it up to be automatic, it's most likely that you're not going to do it. So you want to be consistent with this kind of saving, with retirement saving. And so do that up at the top there, right? Okay, so then next on the list after the emergency fund and your retirement savings is, to me, your car fund and your holiday fund. I think those two are important. I think holidays come around and a lot of people go into a lot of debt for the holidays. It's a big problem. So if you have money set aside, all ready to go, then you're going to have a much happier holiday. You're going to be less stressed. You can actually enjoy the time with your family and your friends. So I think having the car repair, like I said, if the car repair fund, if you rely on your car to get to work and get around, if you live like most people do in the United States where we need a car, then you have to have that car repair fund. If you can put $200 a month into it, great. Again, however, you just need to be consistently putting money into this car fund so that you have money sitting there. If you don't currently have a car payment, like we don't, I actually take the average car payment in the United States right now, I think it's somewhere around $750. I'll put it up on the screen. I try to take that car payment that I would be paying for a car payment and put it into the car fund. If you do have a car payment and you're trying to pay off your car right now, then great. Just put $50 into your car fund, just a little bit of something so that you have money, because even brand new cars do break and you have to pay for those repairs. So car fund and your holiday fund. You can have a debit card that says Christmas or something or holiday on it. At one point I combined our holiday vacation account into one. You can do that for one bank account. Maybe you know how much you're going to need to go on vacation in the summer or whatnot. So you want to just combine that with your holiday, because then it's like, you have the summer, if that's when you take your vacations, and then 6 months later, Christmas or whatever your holiday you celebrate. Okay, so you could do that. So set that up to have your money in your direct deposit list. Go right over there. Again, if it's just $50, you should know though how much money you spend on the holidays. I mean, we're coming out of the holidays. How much did you spend? Write it down, figure it out, look at your bank account, look at your receipts. You should know if you need $1,000 or if you need $2,000, however much money you need for the holidays, and then you can split that amongst however many times you get paid in the year. If it's bi-weekly, it's 26 paychecks. So you just divide that, and then you take that and you put that into that fund automatically. It's going in there. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to look at it. It's just going there, and it's going to sit there and wait for you to get ready to go out shopping for the holidays. Okay, now, of course, I have to mention debt repayment, right? So that's very important. If you're in debt and you're trying to get out of debt, then you have to have money that is going to your debt. And if you can set it up to make it automatic every month, if you can go in and schedule your payments through bill pay in your bank, or if you have credit cards, you can schedule payments. You could schedule it to come out on the Friday that you're paid, or whatever day you're paid. If you're paid on Thursday or Friday, you can go into your credit card and schedule whatever payment you can do, or you've allocated. If it's $50 every time you get paid, the day you get paid on Friday, you can actually schedule those out bi-weekly within your credit card and just have it planned out for like months. So it'll just automatically take that money and pay it towards your credit card every time you get paid. All right, so if you make it automatic, it's more likely you're going to do it. Then you can avoid late fees, so you're not accruing even more debt. And so yeah, automate it. Okay, next is the treat yourself or the fun fund. You have to have some money to enjoy life, right? Everybody, what are we doing here, right? We got to have some fun. So you need to have a fund set aside, whether it's, about 5% of your income, perhaps 5 to 10%. So that's sitting there so you can go and do some good things that you want to do, whatever that means to you, whatever is fun to you. You want to have that set aside money so that you can go ahead and do that. Your tax withholdings, definitely check with your employer. Make sure that you are not giving too much money to the government in taxes and then getting a huge tax return at the end of the year, because then that means you're not getting that money in your paycheck. So if you recently had a baby or you got married, you might need to go ahead and adjust that. So go ahead and take a look. And the best time to do this really is in the beginning of the year. So go ahead and do it, even though it's not really fun, but it will be fun if you discover that you're allocating too much and then you get a larger paycheck. So that's awesome. We have to be flexible. we have to realize that the allocations are going to change. That as life changes, maybe your expenses are lowered or raised, we have to go in and be flexible and reallocate things over time. So perhaps maybe you've been putting money towards your emergency fund for quite a while, and then you're like, oh, we've got way too much money, which is really a good problem to have. Congratulations. We've got way too much money sitting in this emergency fund, so we don't need to be contributing anymore. So you have to kind of take a look at that, or maybe you're like, whoa, we really are not contributing enough to our holiday fund. We did not have enough money this last holiday. So let's beef that up a bit. We need to contribute more. So this is something that we constantly have to be reevaluating, looking at. It's not something that's like one and done for the rest of your life. It's something you have to continue looking at. And it is scary to look at it if you haven't looked at it at all. I know that. Okay. There's definitely a time period in my life I did not want to look at it. It was terrifying. I just did not want to see it. Made me feel sick to my stomach. Like I wanted to throw up every time I had to go and look at my bank account. And so I do remember those days very vividly. And I understand, like, it's not something that's fun to look at, especially if you're struggling with money, you're struggling to pay your bills, and you just feel like you never have enough. It's like really awful to have to look at it. It just, nobody wants to see that. It's just like, oh, but you have to force yourself to look at it in order to get control of it and to make things better, because it's not going to get better if you just sort of put your head in the sand and pretend like it's not happening, because it's happening. It is happening. You have to take a look. So then you've looked at it, you've figured it out, you've allocated things. You have to continue to look at it and adjust it. It's okay if you screwed up the allocation and now you don't have enough money to pay for groceries, which is, a really awful problem to have, but then you got to fix it. You got to reallocate it so that you're not putting so much into whatever fund you're overfunding, or, I need more money here. Okay. So make sure you're constantly reassessing. So along those same lines, you have to have goals. You have to set your financial goals for each fund. Again, you have to know how much you need in that holiday fund. You need to know how much you kind of want to have in your car fund. I have absolutely no idea. What is it, like $80,000 for cars these days? I haven't bought a new car in a long time. And last car I bought, I did buy completely used secondhand for like $5,000. So I think they're way more than that now. So how much money, what kind of car are you looking to buy? Is it a Toyota Corolla and it only costs so much? Or is it, an SUV and you need $100,000 to buy that car? So you need to know what you need to be kind of putting towards. So you have to have the goal, right? It's important to know what it is that you're reaching for. And then just continue to check your budget, right? You need to have a budget so that way you know how much money you make, and then all the money is being split out amongst your different funds, and then how much money do you have left to pay for your expenses or whatnot with your expenses within your budget. I think it's a great idea if you can set that up to be automatic. Again, for us, it's if you have a mortgage or rent, it's probably due on the 1st. So maybe you want to have your bank account set up for your expenses, which is maybe your main bank account, but you have that automatically taken out on the 1st. And then maybe all of your other bills, maybe you can call them up and say, hey, can you change the due date of my bill to be due on the 15th? Maybe you want everything to be due on the 15th. So then on the 15th, you can just have everything paid out, so you don't have to think about it. You know when, in your head, you know when it's coming out. The 1st is your rent or mortgage, and then the 15th or the 20th is everything else. That's all going to be coming out, your electric bill and maybe your trash bill and your credit card payments. You can have it all set up so it's the same day, so it's all coming out then, and you've allocated the money to be in there, so it's like all going to flow nice and smooth. You don't have to think about it too much. So, but yeah, you can definitely call people and try to ask them to change the date of when things are due so they kind of line up better, and it makes it easier for you to manage. And if you don't ask, the answer is no anyway. So you might as well call and ask. Now, by allocating your paycheck and splitting things out amongst these funds, you're really helping to set yourself up for financial success, because then everything is all allocated. You know where everything is, and it's just going to give you peace and make everything just a little bit better in your life. And so go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know which one of these allocations you're going to be working on first, whether it's your emergency fund, whether it's your holiday fund, your car fund, or even just figuring out how the heck do I set up direct deposit with my employer? I have no idea how to do that. So if that's certainly something that, I know my husband wasn't quite sure. It took him a while. He had to go back and forth with HR and figure out how he was going to do that. So no shame in that. So maybe that's what you're working on, is just figuring out how do I do that, or opening up more than one bank account. That's your first step. So let me know down below in the comments. And if you are working towards that emergency fund and you need a little bit more inspiration, I'll go ahead and link a video here that you can watch next. And if you do, I'll see you there. Okay, guys, talk to you soon. Bye.